Okay, I'm at 3873 Mantell Avenue, and I believe this is Deer Park or Sycamore Township, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. The access point is the PVC stack here in the center rear of the basement. This has obviously been replaced normally, and we probably will find some cast iron underneath the floor here until it exits, and then we'll usually at this age of house it'll probably switch over to clay once we get out of the house. But it looks like, which I actually think is better, there is clay underneath the floor in the basement also once we got out of that PVC. PVC does not have a, pretty much can last as long as the ground doesn't shift or roots get big enough to cause damage. So clay's been around for a very long time. They've been using it for 100 years in sewers alone. So it looks like there's a connection from the top. There's probably a clean out in the floor towards the front of the house there. Connection, a little tiny bit of root intrusion, nothing that you could even do anything about. At this point it's so small. Roots are the most common thing we find in clay. It's most sewer lines, if it's clay, and there's a tree outside, most of the time you find roots in it. It's mainly because of the short 3-foot sections, and those 3-foot sections have those connections. Over the years, the packing at the joints kind of breaks down and allows little bits of roots in. As long as you keep them at bay, they're not a major issue. And so here we do have some longitudinal cracking and radial cracking in the clay. It's holding shape. It is holding shape, but this is something that's probably going to have to be evaluated by a plumber, because this may need to be replaced. It is got some pretty large breaks in it. I don't know if the ground is shifting, and although it's not, it's holding shape now, and it's not, no pieces are missing. With some root intrusion and stuff like that, it could start pushing this in. And so on the way back, we'll take a look at the rest of the line, and then on the way back we'll mark all this, because here's another spot that looks like it's been cracked up too. Some holes in the side here. So again, it's holding shape and functional, but that is something that could be a problem at any moment. And then from here, looks like we've switched over to concrete once we've gotten outside, and then back to clay. So there's a short piece of concrete. You can see the exposed aggregate. And so I don't know if maybe that's what they used to go through the foundation or something. Not pretty far, so maybe there was a repair made at some point. Because then we go back into clay. There's a little more root intrusion. Another possibility for this they could probably line this. It is still intact, so maybe they can line this. But there's a lot of cracking and splitting going on this line. hillside. Maybe the hillside's shifting and taking the line with it. And that's what's causing all the cracking. But this looks like we have gone into cast iron out by the road. Possibly where left the property. This is definitely a strange setup. It's not something you normally see. And then this is concrete again. Maybe that was all concrete there. That just looked red and built up. This all looks like exposed aggregate on concrete here. And so we should be coming up to the main. It switched to concrete when it got off the property. Based off the footage, we should be coming up to the main pretty soon. Concrete looks pretty good. It's off, but this is all property, so this wouldn't be the responsibility of the homeowner at this point anyway. Now we are in the water, and I'm not sure if I'm in the beam here or if this is just a low spot, but holding a lot of water. Looks like an offset in the line. May be overtaking it. I am going to try to get the camera as level as possible down here, and then I'm going to try to locate exactly where this is. I'm going to pause the video and find out. It should be off the property, but it may be right at the water line of the main. And it may have come in at the flow line of the main, and that's why it's holding water. But I'm going to pause the video and get a location. Okay, so it was unable to locate exactly where this is. I'm 100 feet out. I think I'm down by I'm actually down by in the street, but that sewer main is approximately, it's over 15 feet deep. I was able to measure it from the manhole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back a little bit so you can get a visual of just how high the water is at this point, and then we'll pull back and I'll be marking some of the other spots where there's damage to the pipe. Okay, so the concrete that we've, most of the concrete looked good. That very last spot, like at the bottom, like I mentioned, I was unable to locate just because of the sheer depth of it. That's definitely off the property. It just won't locate very well because of the angle and the overall depth of the line at that point. And so most of these spots, like you have a little bit of roots here, about 74 feet, but that's a very minor amount. It's not real common to see it come through concrete pipe, but 71 and 74 feet. 68. So there's roots from about 68 to 74, very minor. Those can be dealt with just some maintenance. Okay, now we're back into the clay. We are at 60 feet. And here's where we're coming back up the hill. And as we pull back, this is where I think we start to see some of the cracking. So there's some, I mean, relatively minor root intrusion, but here's the end of the cracking. And I'm going to pause the video again, and I'm going to go out and we're going to locate this spot, and then locate when I get back to the high side or the upstream side of where the cracking begins. So again, I'm going to pause the video and get a locate. Alright, I'm still having a little bit of trouble locating it, probably because of the depth. But we're out 54 feet, but I'm also sitting at a 20-degree angle, which is pretty heavy. 1 degree is minimum pitch for a sewer line, so 20 degrees is pretty heavy. So as we pull back, I'm going to try to pull back and hopefully we get, yeah, see we're already starting to level out, but you can see the cracking on the on the top. Like, it looks like there's a section now. Obviously it is still holding shape right now, but there's no way of telling, especially with the root intrusion, how much longer that's going to take, or how much longer that's going to hold up, because you can see the buckling stuff from the cracking. And so what I'm going to do is, now that I'm a lot flatter, I may be able to get a better locate out there. Come back into concrete. So that was a weird little section that must have been repaired with a concrete piece in the past, and now we're back into the clay. So I'm going to pull back to the point where this begins, and we'll get that locate first, and then I'll try to push out to the point where, as you can see, all these cracks, and it's beginning to shift, and that's where you get a worry. If you do it now and go ahead and line it, then it'll hold up, but I don't know really the price difference in whether or not you line it, or you know, between lining it and just replacing it. I would think the lining may be cheaper just because of the depth, but when I get a better locate, we'll be able to figure that out. So I'm going to push back up to the beginning of the crack. Right around in here is where the cracking starts. So right in the center of this piece, and then as it drops, it gets worse. Now, I'm probably right around the foundation, but I'm going to pause the video, and then we're going to locate exactly where this is again, and hopefully we get a nice, good locate with depth. Alright, I'm going to have to pull back and see if I can get a reference locate. I'm not getting anything, so I don't know if this is going out the side, the front. I think it's going out the front based off of everything I'm getting, but I'm having a hard time getting anything. I'm going to pause the video again, we'll try one more thing. Okay, so we've been at the high side and I'm having a hard time getting a locate. I'm going to keep pulling back until I've gone through the And so I can map this out from the beginning and find out where this line's running, because this isn't making any sense. So I'm laying even, so I should be getting a good locate. But the cracking starts at about 35 feet and it goes through. And so I'm going to pull back to the beginning, and as I push down through the pipe, I'm going to locate it as it goes, so I can follow and trace the line. Okay, I'm going to pause the video again for a second and locate it. I'm back in the PVC. Okay, I'm going to leave the transmitter on. We're going to push forward, and as I get into the clay, I'm going to first get out to the point where there's a clean out, which as we went, there was a connection on the top, I believe. So there's a side connection, most likely the laundry room and or the floor drain over there. And there, as it drops, there was a connection from above, which is right here. And this should be a clean out. And so I'm going to pause the video again, and we're going to locate this spot. Okay, so this is at the front, underneath, basically right underneath where the water shutoff is. There is a clean out connection at 12 o'clock on the pipe, and so there is a clean out to access if needed. So I'm going to continue pushing, and now we're going to get outside and we're going to try to get to that point. And I know exactly where I need to be now. And there's another little connection that must be the downspout. And then the cracking, the cracking starts right in here. This is the first section of cracking right here, about 34 feet. And so I'm going to, again, pause the video. We're going to locate this just outside the house. Okay, so we're just outside the foundation. It's still not getting a great locate, but it's around 9.5 to 10 feet deep. And so now I'm going to push on out, and we're going to get, so at 34 feet is where the cracking begins. And see, here's some of the worst spots. See and there's some roots already coming through those cracks, and so although the pipe is holding shape, there's some voids starting in those areas. In these other sections, this spot is cracking at the connection and starting to drop. And so I'm going to stop here and get a locate because it's relatively flat and it looks like I'm getting ready to dive and go sideways. And you can also see with that crack that you're starting to see a little bit of earth in between the crack on the pipe. But again, we're going to pause and get another locate. Okay, we got a good locate on that. We're about 7'7" to the invert. So that should be the end of the cracking. I think there's a little more for a couple more feet. There might be some minor ones. This is where the line kind of drops off. This is pretty minor, but if you're going to do it, I'm going to push all the way back down. Yeah, here's some more bad ones. But the problem is now I'm at a 20%, and so I'm going to have to try to pull back to where I'm at a decent pitch before I can get a good locate. Right around in here. Here we go. So I'm going to pause the video again, get another locate. Alright, so So now we're at 48 feet. Again, we're marked out. It's heading towards the driveway. We're about 8 foot deep now, and then so there's some more cracking. Obviously, the bad stuff goes on from there. 48 to, and there's some more coming in. 48 to about 55 feet there is cracking. Back into the concrete, which we've already looked at, but I'm going to try to get one more locate since I've been able to follow it. Looks like it's going over and running right next to the driveway, which is a little bit higher than I expected. But we also know that I'm about 50 feet past, and so when we get all the way down to this, where it levels out, that 100-foot mark, that's definitely off the property. It's 50 feet from about halfway down the driveway. So I'm going to pause the video one more time, and then we'll mark it, see if we can mark it. I'll come back and I'll finish up the inspection. Okay, I was unable to locate this spot, probably because of the angle and everything, and the depth. But it's about 101 foot. I'm going to go ahead and pull back, but I'm going to recommend that you contact the MSD. I'm definitely in the street at that point, so I think you should contact MSD to see if they will come out and inspect that spot coming from the main, because the line is definitely holding a lot of water now. It could be because of how much pitch is on the pipe that it could be getting past it and not, showing any signs of issues, which it kind of seems like. But I also don't know how long this house has been vacant. It would probably take a lot for that to back up that length of pipe up into here. And since it does have all that pitch and there is a slight bit of opening at the top, it probably is overtaking it and continuing. But it is definitely damaged. And you can see as we come back through all these sections of the cracks that those, it's still at the point where it could be lined and kept intact, but if the ground moves at all or if those roots get any more aggressive, then they're going to break that pipe and it's going to collapse. So back into the PVC. And back in the drum. So basically, the line is flowing right now, but it has a lot of damage, potential catastrophic damage to the pipe with all that cracking and shifting that's going on, mainly in between about 30 feet and all the way up to like 54 feet. So 30 to 54, those 25 feet has a lot of cracking and shifting going on with some root intrusion also, but that's the minor part of it. It seems like because of the cracking, the root intrusion could actually cause greater breaks because of how weak the line is. But right now it is holding shape, and so it could be a good Could be a good candidate for lining if it's cheaper than digging it up, but it probably should be repaired before it has before something catastrophic happens. But I would also recommend, again, contacting MSD about the spot at about 100 feet, which I could not get past, and it is holding at least 4 inches of water. And if that is down at if it's coming into the flow line of the main, then it's normal, but I didn't see any movement on the water from the backside, so I don't think it's right at the main. But it is out in the street, it is off the property. So yeah, I would recommend a licensed plumber evaluate this to be sure of what their opinion and their quotes on repair and or maintenance. So that'll end the inspection at 3873 Mantell Avenue, and I believe this is Sycamore Township or Deer Park, Ohio.